Dear reader, I was having trouble focusing on one single book, but I was working my way through Smoke by Daniel Valletta and very slowly, and I was stalling out around page 100 and was wanting a distraction, but didn't have any books from my Libby app to distract me last night. I did watch some YouTube booktube vlogs, and I put a few books on my Libby hold, including Jackal, Push, and As a Basic Bitch, Fourth Wing, because I've never read it and I wanted to see what all the hype was about. Someone was also reading The Maidens by Alex Michaelides, and that was available to borrow immediately. So I decided I was going to start reading that, and I've got about 50 pages through that. Um, I have also discovered, thankfully, that I can read a sample of a book before I start borrowing it. And I discovered that can get me excited for a book or not, and it helps me read about the first 40 pages or so, so about 10% of the book. And that helps me decide whether or not I like that book. I was reading There, and I was getting excited about reading it from the sample, as well as Mexican Gothic. And just by reading that a little bit that they allowed me to read, I was getting kind of an idea of where the book was going to go. I also read the first 50 pages of The Push, which I had talked about earlier, which seems like a strange but interesting read. I was reading that while I was watching a booktube video that the person was talking about it, and I found that that was kind of an interesting read. I wasn't sure how to take that book. I always find that books about motherhood are very hard for me, and I'm not sure how I'll end up liking that. But I still have it in my hold, so I'm curious to see how that turns out. Uh, Switching gears, I really enjoyed making videos for my Patreon. I was making the first couple days, I was making, well, the first like day or so, I was making like 6 videos a day, but I'm trying to condense them to about 2 or 3 videos a day, with one of them being an archive video. They usually end up being about cooking and poetry and general lifestyle tips. The reason why I don't include it here is that because it wouldn't be algorithmically pleasing. So if you're curious about seeing a preview video, please let me know. I'm sure I can release one as a preview, but only if there's people who are curious about seeing it or not. Otherwise, I won't bother. Um, you know, I would release the videos on my YouTube channel, but I just don't think that people really care about seeing them so much. So if you're curious about seeing those videos on the channel, like I can early release them on my Patreon and then I can release them like out in the wild on my YouTube channel. So if you're curious about seeing them, I can release them, but only if there's like if you will care about seeing them. So leave a comment if you want to see them or not. I'm almost done typing up my poetry from 2023, which is significant because that means I'm either going into the editing stages of my book and I'll start querying either for an agent or a publisher soon. So that's pretty exciting. I'm really looking forward to that immensely because it's been a rough year trying to type up this poetry. And then I can get started on my 2024 poetry. And let me show you how much poetry I have to type up for 2024. It's a lot. Oh, oh no. Look at all this poetry I have to type up for 2024. So we're almost through. We only have these two left for 2023, and then we can start working on the 2024. Looking forward to it. Almost almost done with 2 years ago. Then we can start working on next last year. Moving on. I've got my first open mic feature coming up in February, and I have to pull together poems for my feature of stuff that I want to do for it. I want it to be timely, I think, as well as effectual. I want to talk about things that are important, and I want to talk about things that are interesting. I have a large body of work to pull from, so I should pull from things that people want to hear about, as well as things that got accepted for publication in the past. I'll have to think about it some more. Um, I'll probably work on that this weekend, so maybe you'll hear from me about it again. Anyway, I'll include some poetry at the end of this, but that's all I have for you. So I wrote these poems about 2 years ago. I don't think I can do anymore because they are really cheesy. Um, so I don't think I can do any more today. We have "The Star Shine for You" based on that song "Yellow." That's the name of the poem. "The Star Shine for You." I have a feeling of warm wind and winter chill, the finality of beauty that it all works out so pretty together when affect comes down peacefully. What a face that stares up in wonder to see, to touch. Could you be real? Could you really be in my world? Could this moment be outside my dreams? I'm not one for flights of fancy. I try to keep my head on the ground to see you here now. It's something new and unfamiliar. It's something old and beautiful. I'm not sure I feel all the ways of you except excited and nervous and wanting to see them, wanting to get close and kiss them all the way to stars kiss the earth. Oh, so cheesy. So that's one. What's the other one? I am always ready for you. The whispers of wind tell me things that are strong and true. They always tell me things about you. I find you in the fastest way. Won't you come out to play from your high tower castle from far away? Won't you take it down and sing the song that brings it the way of people being brought alive? I am alive and shaking. I am alive with cold. I feel it in my bones, constantly moving me the distance inhumanly possible, yet so close at breakneck speeds, and smelling your cologne. That go from here to unnestled galaxy beyond the veil into inky black waters of night, forever night, and how your fingers trace around the edges of the shore, forever making me waves inside of me. There will never be peace inside of me. I will always be the tide stirring. I will always be the I will always I'll always be the tide stirring the way my boat crests these stormy seas. Biffed it a little bit at the end. That's all right. And let me read one poem that I submitted, which is a new poem called Little Protest. And I have submitted this to Oddball Magazine for their democracy issue. It's called Little Protest. There is something that reminds me that the world is waking again very slowly. Just remember that the timeliness of now, and yes, I speak of tyrants and dictators, but every time has their villains. Speak in whispers in your descent, in your back rooms and alleys, and places where they can't go. Start small, to places in the cracks that fall between, where you are hidden from them because they will certainly break a bigger you. They have been trying to make it so that we can't gather and protest in my now. Is that your future? Was to a protest, standing in a bus stop, a riot, waiting in line for coffee, a defense. Texting is the thing you can do. They think they can put you in a box smaller and smaller, make it so that you are isolated, that they are villains mighty and big and strong, that you are weak and nothing. But you will find that even mice have adventures, that you'll come back to yourself, coming back where you stand. Thank you. Let me just get that. I hope you liked this. If you liked this video, please like it for the algorithm and perhaps consider subscribing. If you want to see vlogs and other bonus content, please consider subscribing to my Patreon. Thank you, Donnie, for being my first and only Patreon subscriber currently. We're having a party on my Patreon currently, and I'm posting like a maniac over there. It's a fun time had by all. You won't believe you only spent $1 and all the content you're getting for the price. Thank you for watching. I hope you have a nice rest of your day, and I will see you on the next one. Love, Ari.